Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrutam Naram Sheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Taso Jayamudiraye Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistikim. So, welcome to this Bhagavatam reading today. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 10, text number 36. Underneath this, I find something like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, assumes the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is engaged in fruitive activities, assumes names, forms, and activities. And here is the sloka. Savachavakataya Bhagavan Brahma Rupa Druk Nama Rupa Kriya Datte Sakarma Karma Kapara. Once again. Savachavakataya Bhagavan Brahma Rupa Druk Nama Rupa Kriya Datte Sakarma Karma Kapara. Translation synonyms. Sa, he, Vacha, by his forms and activities. Vachakataya, by his transcendental qualities and entourage. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Brahma, absolute. Rupa, Druk, by accepting visible forms. Nama, name. Rupa, form. Kriya, pastimes. Datte, accepts. Sakarma, engaged in work. Akarmaka, without being affected. Para, transcendence. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Savai Charnarinda Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Translation, he, the personality of Godhead, manifests himself in a transcendental form, being the subject of his transcendental name, quality, pastime, entourage, and transcendental variegatedness. Although he is unaffected by all such activities, he appears to be so engaged. Purport. Whenever there is a need for material creation, the transcendental personality of God accepts forms in the material world for creation, maintenance, and destruction. One should be intelligent enough to know his activities in truth and not be biased to conclude that he descends to the material world by accepting a form created by material nature. Any form accepted from the material nature has its affection for everything done in the material world. A conditioned soul who accepts a material form for undergoing a certain term of material activities is subjected to the laws of matter. But here in these words, it is clearly stated that although the forms and activities of Lord appears to be the same as those of conditioned soul, they are supernatural and impossible for the conditioned soul. He, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is always unaffected by such activities. In Bhagavad Gita 4:14, the Lord says, Nama karmani limpanti name karma phale spruha itimam yo vijanati karma bhirna sabhadyate. Namam karmani limpanti name karma phale spruha itimam yo vijanati karma bhirna sabhyate. I'm sorry. Nasadhyate. So the translation of this is that the Lord is never affected by the activities which he apparently performs by his different incarnations and personalities, nor does he have any desire to achieve success by fruitive activities. The Lord is full by his different potencies of wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation, and thus he has no reason for physical exertion like the conditioned soul. Therefore, an intelligent person who can distinguish between the transcendental activities of the Lord and the activities of the conditioned souls is also not bound by the creations of activities. The Lord, as Vishnu, Brahma and Shiva, conducts the three modes of material nature. From Vishnu is born Brahma, and from Brahma is born Shiva. Sometimes the Brahma is a separated part of Vishnu, and sometimes the Brahma is Vishnu himself. Thus, Brahma creates the different species of life all over the universe, which means that the Lord creates the whole manifestation either by himself or through the agency of his authorized devotees. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnanam Janasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gada Mahyam Dadadi Svapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Utapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamcha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Saragana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padana Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanvitam Sha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyacha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Pachatya Desha Tarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim Yatkrupatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Sri Chaitanyam Ishwaram Paramanandamadavam Jnananandam Devam Nirmalaspati Bhagavatam Adharam Sarvavijnanam Hayagrivam Pasmahe. So I will read the sloka once again and the translation. Savachava Kataya Bhagavan Brahma Rupadruk Nama Rupa Kriya Datte Sakarma Karma Param. Translation. He, the personality of Godhead, manifests himself in a transcendental form, being the subject of his transcendental name, qualities, pastimes, entourage, and transcendental variegatedness. Although he is unaffected by such activities, he appears to be so engaged. The first line in the purport: whenever there is a need of material creation, the transcendental personality of God accepts form in material world for creation. So, as it is explained in Bhagavad Gita 4th chapter, Lord says, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chadushkutam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge. So, also there is Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam dharmasya tadatmanam sujamya. So here in this, as it is said, need of material creation, as and when there is, whenever there is. So as Krishna expressed in Bhagavad Gita told Arjuna that, so whenever there is a decline in the religious principles, to re-establish those declined religious principles, to establish or bring it back to the perfection, and also, and he appears in that, during that, wherever there is a necessity, and also that is paritranaya sadhunam, to give pleasure to the sadhus and the saintly persons, vinashaya chadushkritam, then to vanquish the demoniac, mentalities, dharma sansthapanaya, to re-establish the religious principles. The Lord, the need then arises, and he accordingly he incarnates. But as we or material, so the jiva souls, we come to this material world for this due to our karmic reactions in the past lives. But the Lord is above all that. He is not subjected to any sort of reactions because he is Swarat. And there is nothing for himself to have because he is Atma Rama also. So he doesn't need to have any external agency for him to be happy or be satisfied. He is self-satisfied. So that when he incarnates, he no kind of material bondage. He doesn't entangle into the kind of material bondage because he is the supreme personality of Godhead. And since he performs these activities for attracting these material souls, our jiva souls, and reclaim the fallen souls back to Godhead. That is the ultimate purpose. Like here he says, now we have the Prabhupada always gives this. I mean, most of the times he quoted like there is a prison cell, and those inhabitants of the prison there was in the cell. But when inspection that some dignitary comes, like let's say president or prime minister of that particular country goes to the prison, it doesn't mean he is also an offender and he just landed up in the prison. No, he comes to just to see how these people are doing, how are they doing, and how these things are conducted. And that's for that purpose he comes, but it doesn't mean that he is also an offender and he just landed up in the jail. So thus we understand whatever the activities that Supreme Lord performs, that is for the fallen souls, for the pleasure of these souls, and then by doing such abnormal activities like to attract the souls back home, back to Godhead. So when at the age of 7, when Krishna lifted Govardhan, if we just see in a mundane understanding, how is it possible that he could lift a small boy of 7 years we see here? He can only lift or carry certain amount of weight, not more than that. But the Supreme Personality, that is, he could lift the entire Govardhan hill just on the left hand little finger. So we could keep it for 7 days and 7 nights. So that's really an abnormal activity that which an ordinary mundane world any boy can perform. He cannot. So, but that it is possible for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He doesn't have to practice that from the childhood that he has to lift that weight and all that. But here, the understanding of this is, like we say, the material world, we unfortunately we are tend to take the ordinary person to be God to be an ordinary person. That is the most misfortunate situation. So that's why we find so many gods. People just attribute that, oh, he is God. And then they keep worshipping. And finally, one fine day we understand, or something is revealed by the other personality. So this is what is real picture is. So then they get landed up into the prison. So these are the things that we find an ordinary person cannot perform these things. Or if we just like the 8 siddhis of some of them, just like then one person, we can levitate on the water, we can do that. And Prabhupada said, but just for the sake of 25 paise. And what need of that is to just waste life like that. So these are the things like, so but then when the Lord comes, when he performs these activities, he is not entangled like the ordinary person. So the intelligent point of view is that one should be intelligent enough to know his activities in truth and not in bias by it. To conclude that he descends to the material world by accepting the form created by material nature. So this is not in relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We having wanted 8 million into the 8,400,000 species, the millions and billions of lifetimes, we are coming with a sort of baggage, and that baggage is due to that baggage, whatever we are enjoying or suffering, that is the cause of that. But the Supreme Lord is above all these kind of activities. He doesn't get entangled. And also, why this, first of all, in the first place, why this material world is created? When we are originally with the Supreme Lord, when we wanted to enjoy separate from Krishna, then Krishna understands we cannot enjoy separate from him. But he tries to make us understand, but we, like a child who's just wanting to just have something, and the parents would say, no, my son, you can't do that, it will not be good for you. But he still persists, no, I want to do that. Okay, do it. Then that is how, with that independence, minute independence that was granted to us, we entangled into material activities one after another, life after life, in one and with various species in life. We have. Sorry for the interruption. So this is the nature that we come here for, and the material world is created for us to exercise our desires to, or exercise our activities, the so-called enjoyment that separate from Krishna. He gives this opportunity for us to just have our, whatever the thoughts that we had, whatever the feelings that we had of separately enjoying from Krishna, he creates this material world. Otherwise, there is no necessity for this material world actually. The spiritual world, everything is blissful, everything is happy, everything is wonderful. But when we had developed that kind of mentality to enjoy separate from Krishna, to give us a ground to activities, that the area, the playground kind of thing, this material world is created, and we see life after life and everyone, and that one constantly suffering, but we still don't learn lessons, but we still have, oh, this, by getting this I will be happy, by getting that I will be happy. So go on trying to do many things, many different things, and finally getting and disturbed, and one after another. There is no end to this kind of game, and the game plan goes on, and life after life we come back to this material world. Unless we just find some real understanding, like Srila Prabhupada, when in the world during mid 60s, when the suffering, extreme suffering, that like the hippies movement was so much there, so he understood that there is nothing lacking in the world except Krishna consciousness. When people are Krishna conscious, they will not be having any kind of suffering. They understand everything in relation to Krishna, and there is the scope of their happiness, real happiness, ultimate happiness. So that is the reason a soul, great soul like Srila Prabhupada, understanding what is a real necessity in this material world to become happy. That is the purpose that he came to United States of America, and then he in 14, the 11 years he traveled 14 times all over the globe, propagating Krishna consciousness, by which the suffering of the people can be elated and then removed, and they can just go back home, back to God. And that's we are seeing even after Srila Prabhupada's disappearance from this material world. We still see the moment is growing, and so many devotees are coming in, right? And the moment is gradually progressing. So the actual understanding, when it is given that the purpose of life is to go back home, back to Godhead, and by that we have to be engaged in the service of Krishna, and that service, as given by Srila Prabhupada, the morning program, and following these principles and practicing this, the devotion to Krishna, we will be ultimately happy and find the real happiness. Then also here, the Bhagavad Gita Sloka 4:14, Namam karmani limpanti name karma phale spraha iti mam yo vijanati karma virna savajyate. The Lord is never affected by the activities which he apparently performs by his different incarnations and personalities. nor does he have any desire to achieve success by fruitive activities. As we already discussed, that he is Swarat, he is full in all opulences, that is 6 opulences, he is full in all, so he doesn't need to have anything separate from or other than this. So the Lord is full by his, that is the 6 opulences of wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. And thus he has no reason for physical exertion like the conditioned souls. Therefore, an intelligent person who can distinguish between the transcendental activities of the Lord and the activities of the conditioned soul is also not bound by the creation of activities. We are but the jivas, or we are bound by all our actions, when we have to every action as equal and opposite reaction. For each and every activity that we perform in this material world, there is a reaction for that. Either a good or bad, like Krishna says, akarma, sakarma, vikarma. So these, we are either we do good activity and we good the pious deeds. By performing some pious deeds, we get such punya, what we call it as, and doing impious activities, we get a sinful reaction. So either in both cases, one has to take birth, whether it is good or bad. So that's what use of that is. So that's why it is said, though the neutral activities, that is performing the activities that please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When Arjuna seemingly bewildered, because Krishna wanted to give this again, the knowledge Bhagavad Gita again, when he is given in the beginning to Vivaswan, sun god, and he gave it to Ikshvaku, Ikshvaku gave it to the Manu, the father of mankind. So similarly, when that chain was broken, he wanted to again re-establish that chain, that activities of those knowledge. So that's what Arjuna was seemingly bewildered. He makes him bewildered, and it's the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He speaks these signs of supreme truth and the science of Bhagavad Gita. So by which in that he understands, in the beginning when he was bewildered, he says, how can I kill my grandfather, Bhishma Deva, and how can I kill my spiritual teacher, Dhananjaya, sorry. So, but then having heard all that the 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna comes to an understanding, then yes, I understand what you have, I understood what you have spoken to me, and I will do Karishye Vachanam Tava. So that is after having fully understood the science of transcendental science, then he understands, yes, only the activity that pleases the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is the one which is not going to bind us by either pious or sinful reactions, but only the activity that when we please Krishna. Then somebody would say that, how is it so God, Krishna is asking Arjuna, such a nice person, is asking him to kill Bhishma Dev, kill Dronacharya, and all of them. How is this your God? But then they do not understand the real purpose and the real point, and then the truth in that it is, he is saying, Karmanya Vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalahetu mate sangosta karmani. You have a right to perform your duty, and your duty as a Kshatriya, is a warrior, and he is supposed to be fighting the war, or if he doesn't fight the war to establish the truth, or to just vanquish the demonic mentality, demons, then he will then be in or subject to the simple reaction, and he has to take birth. But when the same thing that is as a Kshatriya, his duty, performing or fighting the war, is his actual duty. So if he doesn't perform his duty, he will be bound by simple reaction, and he will have to take birth again and again and again. But then when he performs his duty as a Kshatriya to establish the truth, then he is not incurring to any simple reaction. That is what Krishna actually explains to Arjuna. Arjuna, as a Kshatriya, you have to fight this war. Then it is not. Though it is a killing, that killing again, you just will go into the soul, which has never dies. All this, Krishna giving the explanation to all these points. Then he understands that, yes, why. So similarly, when we understand the actual position of the Jiva soul and what is our true nature, and accordingly what we should be performing to please the Supreme Lord, by which we will be entitled to go back home, back to Godhead. This is what is the real purpose. Then again, like, but then these, though the killing is involved here, but then when that is pleasing Krishna, therefore an intelligent person who can distinguish between the transcendental activities of the Lord and the activities of the conditioned soul also is also not bound by the reactions. Here, as the Supreme Lord is not bound by any reactions when he carries on certain activities in this material world. Similarly, when we, following the understanding of the Lord and follow the injunctions given by the scriptures, we will also not be bound by any reactions. This is what it is saying, that this is conditioned souls and also not bound by the reactions of activity, the Lord Vishnu. So similarly, we know this for performance of the various executive activities, execution, it's like Lord Brahma, the secondary engineer, and Vishnu, the maintainer, and Lord Shiva, the annihilator. These three activities mean the three executive heads perform these activities. But here also at times, here it says Lord is the Lord as Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva conducts the three modes of material nature. From Vishnu is Lord born Brahma, and from Brahma is born Shiva. Sometimes Brahma is separated part of Vishnu, and sometimes Brahma is Vishnu himself. Thus, Brahma creates the different species of life all over the universe, which means that the Lord creates the whole manifestation either by himself or through the agency of his authorized deputies. So like as the ingredients are given to Lord Brahma and he puts things together, and then that we have in the earlier chapters that we understand when Narada inquires from Lord Brahma, are you the creator, or are you the person behind all this? And then he explains his actual position that we understood in the previous chapters. So this is what it is. So the final understanding is that Lord, when he comes in this material world to perform various activities, that he is not bound by any kind of reactions. But while the Jiva souls, our situation is different, our position is insignificant Jiva souls, we are bound by reactions of every action that we perform in this material world. And I think it's close to 8 o'clock, and then we'll open up for any sort of discussion, comments, corrections.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my beloved obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you always for your wonderful classes and realizations. I have a...
Thank you. Please accept my beloved Prabhupada. Yes, Mataji.
Prabhu, I'm seeking a clarification regarding something you said.
Yeah.
So, just trying to understand this akarma, vikarma. So, akarma, is that, because you said like Arjuna was doing his prescribed duty,
yeah,
and with that, there is no karma. Is that correct? Or I thought, or, like I'm still trying to understand akarma. I thought that doing your prescribed duty and then, having the consciousness that this is for the pleasure of Krishna,
yeah,
is when we don't accrue karma. Because just doing my prescribed duty,
yeah,
is not relieving me of the reactions.
Exactly.
So can you please elaborate a little bit on this? Because we're all doing a prescribed duty.
That's very good. Yes. See, here now akarma, the word itself is like akarma, means which is not karma. Sakarma is the which by performance of that sakarma, which is the Jiva soul is bound by some piety. So that enjoy the piety also one has to take birth. Then vikarma is that which is a bad activity, which is a nonsensical activity by which the Jiva soul is bound by negative reaction. The karmic, the positive reaction is, again, that is one may even by performing of so much philanthropy activities, by accumulating so much of piety, punya karma, then one may be even elevate to the heavenly planets, even to the Brahma Loka. Then what it is said, Kshine punya matya loka mishanti, that we come back to the little word again. But now I think you just tell me if I'm deviating from the principle. See, these are three things that you just said in Bhagavad Gita: akarma, vikarma, sakarma. Akarma is which is not neither pious activity nor impious activity. Means not papa or punya. We say that, right? And then akarma is the one, the activity that is pleasing the Lord. That is the prescribed duty, what we are supposed to be doing, which pleases the Supreme Lord. So by doing that, we are not bound by any kind of reaction. That is what is my understanding. If you have something else or anybody, please let us know. Does it? Go to anything, Mataji? Does it? Is it okay with what I?
Yes.
Did you
Yes.
understand?
Yeah, Prabhu. So my confusion is, so like, for example, I'm doing my prescribed duty as a mother. I'm doing my prescribed duty as a wife.
Yeah.
Right, but that is not giving me a karma. I need to do those activities as an offering to Krishna, or as for the pleasure of Krishna. Do you see what I'm saying? What my confusion is? So just doing a prescribed duty doesn't mean that I'm getting no karma, because a lot of people do their prescribed duties, right?
Okay.
But is it, if the Krishna factor is not there, then it's not a karma. Is that understanding correct? Like,
yeah. See, when the activities is that offering the fruits of your action, everything to Krishna, means in the first place performing those duties according to the scriptural injunctions, and offering the results to Krishna, then we are not bound by any karmic reaction.
okay.
That is what, right?
Yes.
Means that the first place we should understand that is it the injunctions that is given, or am I performing this according to the injunctions that given in the scriptures, in the scriptures, or is this going to please Krishna? And the answer is yes, and that is a karma, definitely, and that's going to please Krishna. That is what it is. In the first place, when Arjun counter argument with us, so many kind of things like that, and then again this, and after hearing this, he understand, yes. When he understood that, yes, this is what is this is the activity that is pleasing Krishna, then he just said yes, Karishya Vachanam Tava, he just said, understanding, right? So that is what, doing it, first place, doing it according to the scriptures, scriptural injunctions, and offering the result. That again, we should not be like, we are not bound by that, and when we offer that result to Krishna, means ahankara vimodhatma kartaham iti. If I think, oh, I did this, I have achieved this by my capabilities and this and that, kind of that false ego comes in place, then we definitely are entangled into the karmic reaction. But when that is not there, this is Krishna. But we say generally, oh, by Krishna's mercy it happened. Oh, by Radharani's mercy, this is so trouble. So then when I don't think that is myself, is I am the door, and I figure that I offer everything to Krishna, and that is that I am really not entangled into any kind of reaction. That is anybody for that matter. Is that okay, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu, that's really clear. Got it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Yes.
I just want to add one thing on this one, and then I want to say one more thing.
Yes, Prabhu.
So on this one, Prabhu, I was asking the similar kind of question to His Holiness Rompada Maharaj in the temple when he came recently, right?
Yeah.
So when somebody does the, I think some of us, many of us are there in that class as well.
Yeah, I was also hearing in the Pujari room, that's my being asked.
Yeah. So I was asking about somebody.
Yes.
but he follows the Vedic injunctions, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, a little bit more than, I mean, what like a mother, or, I mean, of course, there are Vedic injunctions performing some yajna and all.
Yes.
Will they get karma or not? Of course, they get karma, right? So they get a positive karma. So, but my my question to him was that, I mean, it is actually Krishna's, I mean, system, right? That somebody is following it.
Yes.
So they still they get karma, but then I think Maharaj said there is a finer line there.
Yeah.
The challenge is that, I mean, they get higher, I mean, they get a positive karma, they get closer to the Lord in the sense that they're making one more step towards Lord, right? May not be a like elevated
Of
step.
course.
Yeah.
Again, when I mean, you are right. Okay, go ahead with it again.
Yeah,
If
so I was just trying to
that's
see. I mean, it will make them maybe, I mean, closer to the Lord. I mean, it takes, again, he quoted, I think, Bahunam Janmanam Ante. I mean, I think
yes,
they're only quoted, I think. So I think he said, yeah, I
exactly.
mean, it takes long time. I mean, let them do the prescribed duties. It will help them to do it, but still they get the karma. But the karma is not like what you mentioned is vikarma, right? So, I mean, that is not the vikarma. It is actually, I mean, they get karma. And also
Mhm.
Arjuna is doing his prescribed duty. Of course, Arjuna is a pure devotee.
Yes.
So, but if Kshatriya does his duty as a Kshatriya, he gets elevated to heavenly planets.
Yes.
So, I mean, even if he die or if he wins, whatever enjoys, right? So,
See, that
I
is
was just,
what again, in even Krishna, as Maharaj said that Krishna says these injunctions or even those the scriptural injunctions are very difficult to understand actually in the final
yeah, that's
Maharaj
right.
says the final line. No, it is for an ordinary soul, just like the Deva soul, it is difficult. So that is why we have this Sadhu Shastra, Guru Sadhu Shastra. We have to be following that. There is again at the same time the final line like that, by which we will not be able to determine is it right or wrong. But that's why these the guidance that we take from the spiritual masters that we have all, this is the advantage that we have. That's why even at times that we just, okay, this is what is there in the scriptures, I'm just going the whimsical, I just do it. That is not, because there is now, for example, now we say that we have this, who is that the sage who was in the hermitage, he was just meditating, and there was there was a cow passes through that, and then these guys who are just chasing that, and they just come and ask this, and he's taken a vow, that lifelong vow, that he would not speak lie like that, and that lie, because of that, the vow that he says, he just waves the hand or a direction in the way with the cow pass from, and these guys takes the cow and butchers it. So that, yeah.
Mm.
So what to say that now here, if we just say that there are again, there as Arjuna, the argues with Krishna in the beginning, Dharma Shastra, in the Artha Shastra is Dharma Shastra is higher than this and this like that. So there are so finer lines, right?
Yeah, those are the
Yes, true.
perfect example you gave, Prabhu. I
Yes,
think.
thank
Yeah.
you. That's how it is, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. One other thing I wanted to say, I mean, I think in the beginning you said about the translation, Krishna doesn't need to practice it.
Naturally.
Somebody
Yeah.
was asking a question, who was God before Krishna became God? So I was,
Yeah. So like now, for example, your athletes and all these, cyclists, let's say I see every day so many guys going on, cycling like that. So it's every day rigorous practice. By doing that, they will be able to just, the time, the previous time, whatever was recorded, they will be able to break the time, they will exceed, that way. That's like that. And similarly, weightlifting, they continuously do it. But Krishna, because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as other day Radhishampur was saying, Krishna, when he was born at a four-handed form, at a beautiful curly hairs and everything, crown, all that. And he smiles when he was born, and he smiled, and we just give us all the cry and just come with the bald head and this and that. So that's the difference between us, that's how it is. Yeah.
nice, Prabhu. I mean, I was just thinking when you said that Krishna lifting Govardhana, he didn't practice
Yeah.
weightlifting, right? So anyway, thank you so much, Prabhu. Nice.
Thank you very much. Yes, please. So anybody else has anything? Otherwise, we can, it's 8 past 10, 10
Hare
minutes.
Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble
Hari
obeisances. All
Hari.
Srila
Please
Prabhupada.
accept my humble
Prabhuji, wonderful discourse. And the
Hare
moment you
Krishna.
mentioned that particular thing, karma, vikarma, and akarma, I knew there'll be a lot of questions. And I was just thinking about two verses from Bhagavad Gita, 926, 927. 926 is Patram Pushpam Palantoyam. And 927 is Yat Karoshi, Yad Adnashi, Yad Joshi, Dadashi.
Yes,
Yeah.
Prabhu.
So if you take 26 to be like pure Krishna consciousness, that is going to be a karma, whereas 927 is supposed to be more in the karma phase, correct? So if I or if a mother is going to tend to the child, which is her dharma, and while tending to the child she's thinking, hey Krishna, this is what you gave me, and so I'm doing it, does it fall under 927 or does it fall under 926?
I did not actually get it right. What you say again, that your question that
Probably a mother who's taking
Uh-huh.
care of her child, that's her duty, and she does it with natural care and love and all those things.
Yes.
But on top of it, if the mother is saying, hey Krishna, this child is yours and I'm going to take care of this child, so now is that consciousness leading to is it still in sakarma or is it akarma?
Okay. When mother is not thinking herself, she is the door, and she performs that activity as a servant of Krishna, and to that boy or son, though his son or he is also servant of Krishna, in that matter, when she performs that with that understanding, that is akarma only. Offering the fruits of her activities to Krishna, and that is without any attachment. She is performing that as a service to Krishna, and not, okay, it is my son. That kind of thing is not there. And he is also servant of Krishna. I am serving this individual as he is servant of Krishna. And because he or she needs the service, and she is offering that service without being entanglement, without an understanding of entanglement. Oh, he is my son, or that understanding. Without that understanding, as an individual, I'm performing this service to this per individual as a service to Krishna. That will always be akarma. It is not. It doesn't bind by any of the positive or negative reactions. That's what my understanding.
Yeah, I was reading 927 translation,
Okay.
and this came up actually in our Bhagavatam reading class. So
Okay.
whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me.
Yes.
And this
so that
is
what is Atkaroshi. That is what we know. Atkaroshi translation of
Yeah.
that is that. Yes.
Yes. But this is not at the level of Patram Pushpam Palantoyam, correct? So I still don't understand. Like, how can somebody doing prescribed duty be elevated to the level of akarma?
See, it's Krishna said. Why not any Tom, Dick, and Harry said that? Krishna said yes. When Krishna said it, there was a denying factor. That is what it is. If we really, with that consciousness, the level of consciousness, we are raised up to that we reach to that level of consciousness, and we perform the activity with that attitude, there is no denying factor, because it's a Supreme Personality of Godhead who pronounced that. Dharman to sakshat bhagavat pranitam. Dharmena hena narapasuhi samana. So dharman, that is not any something, some XYZ ABC manufactures some dharma that becomes dharma, the code of conduct. No, it is a Supreme Lord. That's why it is whatever emanates from his lotus mouth, that becomes dharma. That is what it is.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Is that right? To understanding, that's what according to my understanding. There is something else we can hear from the other.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much. Anything else from anybody? Otherwise, we'll close at 8:15 now.
Okay, Prabhu.
Okay. Lakshmikant Prabhuji, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
We'll close for the day. Thank you. Thank you all. Vancha kalpatarubhya kripa sindhubhayavacha paditanam pavanebhyo vaisnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti